button. I'm going to cut my... All right, NAI football fans, this is Cory Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIAFBALL podcast powered or live show. What am I talking about? It's not the off season. Still powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts since 1974. The best. Back again after vacation. Thank you so much to Matt for covering for me as I went to the happiest place on earth. No, that's not my name for Durham, North Carolina. That is Disney World. Got to get away with the fam this week, and thank you, Matt, for covering for me last week.
Yeah, of course.
But
was a fun time. We got it done, and it worked.
Absolutely,
that's the important part.
But man, we had some serious upsets this week.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly, I think. A lot of surprises coming out. I feel like we should first mention, because I don't think we have scorecards for these, 2 FCS wins and a D2 win in the NAI last week.
I'll take it, even if those FCS schools are Pioneer. I'll take it. Northwestern beating Drake, and Indiana Wesleyan beating Valparaiso, and then doggone, it was Montana Tech, wasn't it, against Central Washington?
Yep.
I can't keep these Montana teams straight. Directional Montana. I love you all, Directional Montanas and Tech. But yeah, beating Central Washington, who doesn't... Okay, I've heard of Central Washington, which makes me think that they don't suck as a D2 team.
They're a solid program. I know that a lot of good players that I grew up playing with went there and stuff. So pretty solid D2 program.
I'm about to say they're not like North Dakota, South Dakota, but you know.
No, certainly not. But still good. Still nothing to scoff at.
Right. Yeah. D2 wins are fantastic. Probably also walked away with a nice check for getting that dub as well. So good for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we did have some fun ones in the NAI realm, starting off first. Southeastern and Reinhardt. Man, Reinhardt took this huge lead, and Southeastern just comes storming back to make it happen and to pull the upset.
Yeah, and this was a Reinhardt team that defensively looked as good as ever, like leading up to this game in the sample we saw before. And this was a team that we were a bit lower on than what the national poll saw, but I don't think anybody saw this coming. I think we felt that Southeastern was still a year away, obviously being able to rebound and being a good program, but pulling off what the NAIA considers a top 10 upset is huge for them and building momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Nate Hayden was as good as he needed to be. 16 of 34, had a good attack with Devontae Williams. The Southeastern defense was able to make stops when it needed to. And normally, we don't talk a lot of punters, but, this game was so close. If you go look at the box score, everything is pretty equal. except for the punting deficit. Alex Hardy just unfortunately did not have a good day at the office, averaging less than 30 yards per punt. And sometimes, man, it's the field position's everything.
It's definitely in a game this close, details like that matter so much. And when so many other games, when you're up by a few more scores, like punting average doesn't really matter. But it was that close of a margin. Like it was just
Right.
that competitive of a game when
And,
Southeastern did start to storm back.
and as a point in non NAI related news, Aaron Rodgers just got helped off the field apparently. So that's no bueno.
What?
I hope you don't have Aaron Rodgers on your
Oh,
fantasy team.
oh,
It's a great start to your
wow.
Jets career, you know.
Yeah, I suppose JETS, huh?
Well, he is only 87 years old, so, taking the Favre route. Anyway, back to the NAIA.
You know who didn't need any assistance
And
this
that's
past
going to be
week?
Kaiser.
Yeah.
Kaiser, again, the kind of the narrative of this week was either the comeback or the attempted comeback. Lindsay Wilson down early to Kaiser makes it almost all the way back. And Kaiser gets a late pick to seal the deal, a 30-26 win at Parnell Family Field.
And I mean, this is what you expect from Kaiser wanting to run it back in the fashion that they talked about doing all offseason, beating these really good Lindsay Wilson teams, having a good showing against like D2 programs. This is exactly what you want to see from them. It was a great day all around for them. And Kaiser is, yeah, they're just as good as ever.
I mean, both defenses were so good. You limited Jaden Meisinger to 52 yards on 19 attempts. You limit Jabias
Yeah.
Dawson to 68 yards on 12 attempts. And guys, those were the two most impressive non-quarterback skill players,
hmm
stat-wise. Like, these defenses did a phenomenal job at doing it. Obviously, we see Kaiser's defense not allowing Lindsay to get a lot of conversions there. 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles. Maybe not 3 fumble recoveries, but 3 fumbles that were forced. That sets you back always when you get that forced fumble. That's a lost down there. And then the game we were waiting for, like the game we were all waiting to see who was going to come out on top. St. Thomas and Carroll. This was as good as advertised. Just back and forth. A last-second touchdown pass from Jack Perka to Chris Ackleshan is the deciding score there for Carroll.
Yeah. Really impressive showing from both teams, honestly. We've talked about this offseason St. Thomas and kind of the revenge tour they want to go on this year. They're not dodging any smoke because obviously they're playing a really good Carroll team, go to their place, and they keep it competitive. Obviously, getting that loss on the board doesn't really help you out that much in the national playoff picture, which is obviously where you felt slighted last year. But having impressive showings like this proves to the rest of the country that you can hang with anybody. And I think for them, that's a huge positive that they could take away from it. And Carroll obviously getting a huge one under their belt too, in an already insanely competitive Frontier Conference. You need every edge you can get.
St. Thomas gets this week off, and then they go chasing even more smoke because they go play Texas Wesleyan next week. So
It's gonna be so good.
rest up, Bobcats. You got another chance. Get another chance to get up off the mat here. I love the scheduling. It's a little Florida State of the '80s, but I absolutely love it. As we continue down the path of upsets, Graceland Benedictine. Graceland does it. Benedictine's at 1-2 after losses to Morningside and Graceland. And if you told me 2 years ago that Graceland would be able to upset Benedictine at this point, I would have laughed.
Yeah, this is a Graceland team that in 2 years has completely turned it around, at least with the start to this season. Um, beating a very good Benedictine team who held in with one of the best programs in the NAIA at the beginning of the season. Obviously, starting 1-2 for them is not ideal, to put it lightly, as a top 15 team. But you cannot go wrong for Graceland. Getting a win like this, and you're already receiving votes. You have the nation's attention now. Like, welcome to the fold, man. This is crazy.
Gerald Monroe is just an absolute beast. We honored him, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I think it was the week 1 player of the week with 5 touchdowns. Comes back with almost 2 bills and 4 touchdowns.
Insane.
I mean, someone's got to be able to cover this man. Somebody somewhere is going to have to be able to cover Gerald Monroe. I don't know who it's going to be, but someone's going to have to cover this man.
He's got to be eating his Wheaties or something, man. It's insane.
Absolutely. Another war that we had was Marion St. Xavier, a back and forth affair. No one really had any sort of advantage. Marion makes it happen. That defense was so good. 3 picks, 10 tackles for loss, and holding St. Xavier to 2 of 14 on 3rd and 4th down conversions.
Mm-hmm. And being able to hold Aiden Voss to just 130 yards passing is obviously a recipe for success. This is also yearly a St. Xavier team that feels like they bounce all over the place in terms of competitiveness, and they showed that they can hang with the top dogs, but still not being able to pull this one out just sucks for them. But I guess being in a sense of it not being surprising, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you hate to lose, but if you're going to lose, might as well be the Marion. There's still a lot of good things going on for them, but got to be able to convert 3rd and 4th down, and Marion clearly limited that. So
the next game has one of the oddest stats that I think I've ever seen in the NAIA. That's Friends in Avila. Now, we talk a lot about 3rd and 4th down conversions. Avila never put Friends in a 4th down. They had no punts. They were 0 for 0 on 4th down conversions. This leads me to believe that there were no 4th downs for Friends.
Yeah, well, obviously, when you have a guy like Elias Pino who averages 28.5 yards a carry with 2 touchdowns, probably not, because those are some pretty big chunk yardage plays. And obviously, Lakin Cloudis, can't go without mentioning him too. Another running back with almost 100 yards to his name. Obviously, with 12 attempts and 90 yards, more of the workhorse, but like 3 touchdowns and 200 plus yards of rushing between 16 attempts. That is just domination from Friends, straight up.
When is the last time we have had Friends dominating much of anybody?
Friends. They're not being very friendly right now, clearly.
Going against that non-violence clause of the Quakers there. Hey, I'll take it. We knew this was coming eventually from Friends. I mean, with who they hired, we knew that this was coming. We just didn't know when it was going to break out. Looks like it's this year.
100%. This is a team to really watch out for going forward.
In things that are not surprising, however, Morningside beats Hastings by like 37 points.
Yeah, we talked about this Morningside squad having some question marks at quarterback and some other positions they needed to fill. They still go out and prove that even in a down year where they look mortal, they're still beating the crap out of people. Obviously, this was a Hastings team that was off of 2 back-to-back big overtime wins, feeling good about themselves, going to play the top dogs, and it just didn't work out for them. I think there was a similar situation last year where Hastings was ranked going into this game, and a pretty similar results. I mean, it's Morningside,
Yeah, absolutely. And I still think they've got questions at quarterback. You're still playing a 2-quarterback system with Cash Parker and Lennox Brown. There's still a lot of questions there from Morningside, but, this is still definitely a top 10 team, even without a steady quarterback.
100%.
Going from this to another one of the weirdest stats that I've ever seen in the NAIA, and that is Southwestern beating Kansas Wesleyan 24-3, and the Builders holding the ball for 50 out of 60 game time minutes.
An offense running under 50 plays in a game is just unfathomable to me. And that is what Kansas Wesleyan was stuck with, averaging 1.4 yards per play.
Ouch.
I mean, I don't even know, because there must have been no big plays. There must have been no 50 plus. I don't even know how this happens. I feel like you can't even do this intentionally.
I had so much hope for Kansas Wesleyan going into this year. I hate to say that I'm wrong 3 weeks in, but they really have got to get something figured out on offense, because this ain't it. This is really not
able to get the ball back for 5/6 of the game is a big problem. And you need to fix that.
Forget that, not being able to hold on to the football.
Yeah, that too.
If you have 10 minutes of time of possession, you are going run, punt, or some sort of terrible idea. I mean, something's got to happen with this Kansas Wesleyan team. They've got too much returning talent to not be producing. This is not a Benedictine 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They have not looked good.
No. I mean, the bright part is that it is only week 3. 1 and 2 isn't a death sentence, and like you said, they have the talent to fix it, but a lot's got to turn around pretty quickly if they want to get their season back on track.
Absolutely, and you got to do it fast, because you play this week, friends. You got to face triple option, and a team that didn't punt.
Yeah, probably one of the hottest teams in the NAIA right now. I mean, if you want to prove that you're still there, that's definitely a need to win game. And this isn't at all to discredit Southwestern. Very dominating win for them. It's just definitely more of a shock that Kansas Wesleyan is struggling the way that they are.
And then we get the other shocker in the KCAC, and that is Ottawa and Bethel. Ottawa coming back on Bethel. Man, I got to tell you, that Ottawa team, we might have
not too shabby.
Not too shabby this time around. Maybe they're taking a little bit of love from their flag compatriots, but I mean, I do think, however, you might have their record wrong. They are 1 and 2, Matt, on that one.
Okay.
They are 1 and 2. Losing to Friends in Southwestern. Look, they've had such a front-loaded schedule. They face McPherson next week. I mean, it's been Southwestern, Friends, Bethel, McPherson. And they've played everyone except for Friends pretty closely. They played Southwestern within 2 points, and they beat Bethel by 4. They lost by 29 to Friends. That might tell me how good Friends actually is.
100%.
But we're watching Ottawa. We have taken notice now. Honestly, though, I think on this one, this is like the punting thing that we talked about with Southeastern and Reinhardt. Usually we don't talk a lot about penalties. But when the yards are fairly equal, and they were, and the third, fourth down conversions were fairly equal, and it was, there's got to be something there that trips it up. The punting was equal in Ottawa-Bethel. Ottawa had 3 penalties for 15 yards. Bethel had 8 penalties for 108.
That's an entire field length and a score probably that you really would like back in this close of a game.
And sometimes the penalties don't hurt you, but when they're not getting called like that, it's gonna hurt you.
Yeah. And this is a Bethel team that I feel like we all were very high on them going into the season. And again, it's week 3, it's not the end of the world. But that's obviously one for Bethel that you really need in what's going to be a very surprisingly competitive conference this year from what we've seen.
And to be fair, Bethel is 2-1, not 1 and 2. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
They do have a chance to avenge. Their next 2 weeks are at Avila and versus K-Dub.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you beat Avila and you beat K-Dub. You get to 4-1, and all is forgotten, really,
Mm-hmm.
about this.
100%.
So definitely there's definitely room to improve there with Bethel, and there's room to get this forgotten about. So,
Mm-hmm.
in all of this, how does this change our top 25? This was a fun re-rank. The first 2 weeks, kind of everything went according to plan. Like, all of my teams that I expected to lose in the right spot lost in that spot. And I could pretty easily get teams around. This was not nearly as easy.
Not at all.
This was a complete
half.
redo.
Yeah, back half was rough.
So, we have a couple of new teams, a couple of teams that dropped out. Talk about some of the big things. Lindsay Wilson slides down 4. They go from 5 to 9. College of Idaho up 6 there. I think that's a little bit more of your sliding teams around, and they got a fortunate bounce there. Benedictine slides down 7 to 19. Montana Tech, after that win over a D2 squad, goes up 9 spots to number 15. Friends is new at 21. Evangel is new at 24. And Southeastern, the Fire, squeak in at number 25. And they replace Bethel, Montana Western, and Reinhardt. Man, this makes some really good matchups coming up. And really, Evangel deserves it. They've played so well.
Mm-hmm.
They really do deserve it. Friends deserves it for what they've done. Graceland at number 19 coming in new. I love that they're tied with Benedictine at exactly 31 points apiece. That seems just so apropos.
But yeah, I mean, this top 25 is just all over the place this week. And it's like you said, it's just so hard to be able to vote on this poll, and people slide down and you're like, okay, I don't feel like they're that good, but who else are you going to put up there?
Right.
And then when you get to the last 10 and it's just like, who do you even throw on this and where?
Right. And we do apologize for number 8. I'll get that typo fixed for Carol. I'll get that fixed. Sorry for that oversight. Georgetown's sitting there at number 11. They're not getting the love I really think they should. Just in full disclosure, in my poll, I've got Georgetown at number 3.
I've got Georgetown in my top 5 as well. So
not
our fault.
Yeah. We both think that Georgetown's a much better team than the nation is believing at this juncture. But we'll see. We'll see what they get. But we'll be right back after these messages from our friends at AdCraft.
So you want to create and sell custom merch for your team or business. That's exciting, but where do you begin? How much inventory should you order? How do you distribute orders? AdCraft has your answers. Streamline the way you offer custom merch by utilizing our risk-free web store service. We ship directly to each customer, and we have the fastest turnaround in the game. Raise funds for your team or get merch to your employees and patrons. Contact AdCraft today, and let's bring your merch to life.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what they do. You need to get on the web stores. That is such an easy way to make a little extra cash, get some good material in the hands of your fans, and it's great quality stuff. They do a fantastic job. I've always been thrilled with the quality of the material itself, of the printing job that they do. They do just such a fantastic job. Contact them for all your printing needs. Tell them we sent you. Other folks we need to thank tonight, one is going to be Telemetry Sports. They're still working on that play of the week there, That play of the week is a long touchdown reception, first out of the gate for Grandview. So thank you to Grandview Athletics for the film. We're getting it processed, and y'all will be seeing that on Twitter this week. But just a long bomb, beautiful, as they their quarterback throws for 5 touchdown passes in a win there. Thanks also to Connor Darnell Designs, who is doing our top 25 and what to watch for this week. Contact Connor for all of your needs, whether it's a reveal of your top 5 if you're still getting recruited, whether it's a commitment graphic, whether you have some extra there in your SID budget. I know, funny joke. And you need someone to do a couple of graphics per week there. Contact Connor. He is amazing. So we've got 5 amazing games this week that I am super excited about, including one that I feel is a homer pick. We'll get to it after a while. There's no homerism here, there.
No.
None at all. But man, Grandview Baker, I know that Chris Weiner is going to be super, super excited about this one. Baker has done really well this season with the new head coach coming back over to Baker. Was previously at Clark. Clark was getting some good momentum. Baker finds their man, and right now they're playing some really good football. But so is Grandview. They are airing it out and really being an offensive juggernaut.
Yeah, this is a Baker team that I've been high on. I've been putting them in my top 20 every week. Just really excited to see what they can do against an extremely formidable opponent. I think if you want to be back in the conversation as one of those top historic programs that you are, this is a good game to prove that to everybody.
A little bit of a play-out game here. Receiving votes Cumberland's versus receiving votes Reinhardt. I feel like whoever loses this is no longer going to be receiving votes.
Yeah, and this is obviously a Reinhardt squad that's looking to bounce back, in a Cumberland's team that's trying to get themselves back in the picture after the season they had last year. I mean, this is going to be a matter of who's kind of taking that next step back into the top 25 where they feel like they belong.
Yeah, and you saw Cumberland's last week defeating Union 10-6. Yes, there were a ton of weather delays, but I'm just going to point out that was the same matchup that was 98-0 a couple of years back. Cumberland's trying to figure out what's going on, I think, a little bit. Reinhardt definitely trying to figure out what's going on after that loss to Southeastern. So we should see a couple squads that are very locked in and ready to go. Carroll goes for their second top 25 matchup in as many weeks as they travel to Rocky Mountain to face the Battling Bears.
And obviously, we always talk about the Frontier Conference, just an absolute grinder and playing on the road at a very, very good Rocky Mountain team. Is Carroll going to be able to continue that momentum after beating a very good St. Thomas team? Like, that's always the question.
Yeah.
And road games are a much more prove-it type of game, I would say.
We apologize. That is definitely not Midland's logo. That is Jamestown's logo. Whoopsies. Midland faces Dakota Wesleyan. The apparently Tigers are blue.
Yes, they are. After coming off of a big win at Doane last week, down 10-0 in the fourth quarter, the Tigers get it done off the back of a Landon Rusink pick 6 and some solid offense and special teams to close it out. This is a completely legitimate pick. There's an RV there, so that means it's real, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Not even Cory. Obviously, playing at Joe Quinnell, this was a game last year that Dakota Wesleyan felt like they had. This was an 8-point game. At the end of it, very low-scoring affair. And Dakota Wesleyan starting 2-1 for the first time in a very long time. Very excited. I will be there in person because this is homecoming. So I will be live on the scene watching this game. cheering on my guys. Gonna be a lot of fun. And I think if there's a year to flip the script in the Midland Dakota Wesleyan matchup, it would be this one.
I'm just going to note that in our poll, Dakota Wesleyan has 1 point.
A vote's a vote. Is it not?
It is. Received vote is how that's going to go there.
There'll be more.
And
There'll be a
then-
number there next week, promise.
And then Indiana Wesleyan travels to St. Xavier. St. Xavier's got to pick themselves up off the mat and go, well, crap. We just got beat by a top 5 team. Our reward is we get to go and we host a top 5 team.
Yeah, this is a top 5 team that's coming off of a FCS win, no less. So should probably be ready to go for this one if you're St. Xavier. But again, another chance where you're playing at home. They have to go to your place. Another prove-it game. You want to be back in the top 25 and be in that playoff picture like St. Xavier feels like they should be. Have to find a way to win this one.
And that one's going to be under the lights at St. Xavier, too. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. It's going to be, in as much as the NAI can get a stadium rocking, they're going to have the stadium rocking. It's going to be a fun matchup. I am seriously looking forward to that one, even though I'm an old man and I will not stay up for the entire thing. But we are so thankful for our patrons. And can't remember. Did you add Zach? Did you have Zach added on the last one?
I didn't have him on the last one. Look at that.
Zach
little spot.
Zach making it a 3-liner again. Thank you, Zach, for signing up. We appreciate you all the way from Charlotte, getting it done for the 49ers. We have DSU Cone, Darren, Bob Boone, Roger Meyer, Jeremy Vobble, Shirley LaBella, Fred Christensen, Jerry Quickle, Ace Wellen, Marty Seabolt, Justin Cobb, Nick Ryan, Hayden Ferrigno, Kyle Gregory, Tyler Pierce, Justin Hoffman, Steve Speakman, Brian Shake, Julianne Shager, Nate Soapbeer, Stephen Cutler, Julie Lout, Tim Burrow, Dale Norton, Nathan Moore, Dylan Gonzalez, Ryan, Jason Crawford, and Zach Reinhardt. It's going to be, I think, another great game or another great week there. Richard, I did not actually see the 88-yard run. I know that Neil tied a school record on that 88-yard scamper, so congratulations to them there. Coach Nick Davis says Otter on, coming over to maybe gloat a little over his team's great performance. And of course, Chris Weiner, our token Baker fan that we have.
Big Baker guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love that we know who some of these folks root for. It's always an absolute pleasure. We know Roger's always listening to us, even if he has us on a small screen. He's actually listening to the Mannings and not us. Hey, look, man, I will be overshadowed by Peyton Manning. He has a lot more touchdown passes than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume he has more touchdown passes than like a lot of people. So
Heck, he has more rushing touchdowns than I do too.
Can't win them all, Cory.
No, you really can't. I mean, I do have the smaller forehead though.
Ooh, there you go. Hairline.
All
Take that, Peyton Manning.
with you in your custom helmet there to fit your head into it. I love it.
There's just a lot of brain capacity in there, you know.
We'll take it.
That's what that's for. Yeah.
We'll take it. Catch us back again next week at 8:30 p.m. on Monday as we go through the games that were, and we take a look and we see if some of these teams that we have put in our top 25, like your Southeastern, well, they're on a bye, so we won't know next week. But Graceland playing Moval, Friends playing Kansas Wesleyan. Are they for real? We will find out, I think, next week as we go through and start to make our way on the road to Durham we're getting there. We're starting to the picture is starting to unfuzz a little bit. So
Just a bit. We're
4,
getting closer.
we are getting closer. So 4, Matt Schwartz.
Wait. Okay, wait. Pause.
Okay, all right.
Jeff brings up a good point before we close.
Yeah.
Did College of Idaho win on a last-second play
They
this
did.
week?
They had a Hail Mary there against, I think it was Montana Western. I have to go double check. And it would be the play of the week, except that College of Idaho has a paid stream, and so I can't source their video.
Oh. Oops.
You know.
Hey, at least you're complying with the streaming rules. So
I
good for you.
absolutely am. Yeah, it was Montana Western, a 37-35 victory on a Hail Mary.
The Frontier Conference is so fun.
Oh, it is. It's definitely. I mean, look, we called it out as the second best conference in the nation over the offseason. It's definitely making the case for it. I mean, Carroll's defense has been utterly dominant. Some of the early shenanigans there have been just phenomenal. The game between Carroll and Montana Tech was great. Carroll St. Thomas was a great game. Montana Tech up defeating a D2 squad. It's just, man, it's fun.
100%. Love it. Have to.
So, for Matt Schwartzler, there are no more comments, that is, at least.
Yeah, we're good.
Sweet.
No more cutoffs.
Sweet. I am Cory Thorpe, and we will see y'all on the Twitter feed. That was pretty good. That was